Hey guys, today's video is going to be on rotary buffing 101. If you have seen the channel before, you know that mostly it's dealing with boats. Today I'm detailing a long overdue detail on my detail rig. This is the car that gets me out to do the boats we do all the time. And so I just want to give a short video, really an introductory to rotary polishing. Got a high-speed or rotary polisher. It spins just in a circle. It does not randomly orbit like an orbital does. So it just spins in a circle. This happens to be a 3M wool pad. It's a cutting pad. I'm using my signature mix that I use on pretty much everything. It's a kind of an all-in-one polymer sealant with a diminishing abrasive compound mixed in, and that gets me this kind of finish on cars. This is the before. I don't know, it's white, so it's kind of hard to see, but there's some water spotting and just some oxidation in this white paint. Over there, it's been done once with this all-in-one. So today what we're going to talk about is how to buff with the rotary. The basic principles start with the weight of the machine is what you need to buff. A lot of times people ask about pressure and different circumstances. If you're in a flat area, you want to imagine the weight of the buffer being the contact surface. In other words, you're not pressing down super hard on it, and you're not carrying the weight in a flat open surface, typically. I generally like to keep my buffer head relatively flat when I'm working the material. And then at the end, after I've done my section, then I'll give it a slight lift on one corner. Let's talk about the corners of the buffer. If you're holding the machine normally, you're going to have it something like this or this, where you've got two hands on the machine. In this case, I'm filming, so apologize. My left hand's going to normally ride on this part of the machine. My right hand is normally going to hold the trigger, and I'm going to hold it at about this angle. So I'm working this way and this way, a pattern, okay, like this. And like I said, I tend to work with my machine very flat while I'm working my first area. Let's call it a box pattern. I'll generally do shoulder width to shoulder width as far as how far I'm reaching. So I'm keeping the work right in front of me. And then I'll work that pattern, okay? And then I may come back and go that way. I'm always overlapping the prior pass, working that same box. And then I may tilt the buffer up on edge one way or the other and work into that pattern I worked to polish it down. And I'm going to show you an example of that, but I wanted to give you the basics first. All right, so let's go. I've got some product laid out here that I'm going to start with. Got a couple little sections. These first sections, they're up against edges because I've got a little bit of oxidation right on that line that buffing flat doesn't get. I think this is picking it up on this puddle right here. You can see that edge of oxidation. So when you're working edges, that's going to be a little bit different. And I'll get into it right here. All right, so to start, I'm going to go ahead and just start at my furthest over puddle, which I've set up on this edge. When you're working edges, you want to lay a little bead of product so that it's never dry edge you're buffing with. And you're going to tilt that right hand shoulder of the buffer right into that puddle. Slowly bring it up to speed. Once you're on it for about a second or two, you want to increase the speed. Hold on out. Out. that's going to do it. And for this spot here, it pretty much did. I'll give you another view of that at the end. I'm going to work the next side. Same thing, other side lean right up into it. So I'm leaning right in that edge, right on my puddle, slow start, so I'm not spraying product everywhere. Work it so much that the product goes away and then you're just running a dry, hot pad in there, because you're putting a lot of pressure in there and that will generate a lot of heat. In this case, that wasn't enough, so I need to lay down another little amount of product. Got it. One other thing to consider when you're buffing, you don't want to get too overextended. You saw me kind of leaning on the vehicle and reaching. I'm going too far. I need to move my ladder, work over the material in a safe way so you're not overextending. You'll find it's way more efficient if you are comfortable and not trying to do too much. Just wanted to hit a little bit more of that because it wasn't as good as I hoped. That's better. Because this is a demo, I'm not trying to make it perfect. I'm just trying to show you some concepts, right? So now I've got this flat area between these next two ridges, and I'm gonna work that. Typically, you'll wanna throw this over your shoulder so you're carrying the cord and not dragging it on work. Earlier, I was dragging it a little bit. My vehicle, I was being lazy, so. Bad habit though, don't do it. Again, slight angle on the buffer, one hand here resting lightly. I'm allowing the weight of the buffer to do the work. All I'm doing is guiding it. Slowly bring it to speed, give it a 1, 2, or 3 count, bring it up to full speed, and out. So in either case, if you get hopping, it's because maybe you're a little bit pushing down or pushing down on the back or front. That can do it. Or just too much pressure in general will cause that too. Give it a little wipe. Take a look. Looks decent. This section needs a little more on the flat, which I'll go ahead and do now. Very small amount of product. Hopefully the camera's picking it up. I'm on a real tight angle because I'm just with my little suction cup deal over there. But basically I've got about a quarter width of puddle and then just a real small width there. So I'm setting my pad down near the center, not in the center. This is the working area of the pad from the center to about here. If fresh product gets anywhere past this point, you'll end up just spraying everything. So always try and do a small puddle, place it near the center of the pad, and like I said, slow for about 2 to 3 seconds. Once that's happened, it's into the pad, you can bring the speed up and then start your process. In this case, this machine goes to 6 on the dial. I'm using a 3. So that's relatively slow, but it does the work. To do a cross section. Sometimes just working it one way out and back, overlapping, is going to be enough. If it's heavy oxidation, heavy scratching, in gel coat, you know, again, heavy oxidation as well, a cross pattern can help you. And you just got to base it on what you need to do. My thinking is you want to take enough material off to get it clear and nice, but not so much that you're just burning the surface and overworking it, because every time this happens, you're taking off a layer. Eventually, you've got no more layers to take. So go as hard as you need to, but not too hard. And with a rotary polisher, and even really an orbital, it is reasonable to assume you can go too far pretty quick. One more pass on this line on the flat, because I'm seeing a little bit of haze in that as well. Again, I'm not shooting for perfection in this particular case. I'm just trying to give you a demonstration of basic rotary principles. So if you want something more advanced, that may come in the future. Depends on how busy we get and how quickly we get busy. Right now we're in January 3rd or 4th. So it's our cold season, it's wet, it's rainy. We're not doing a bunch of boats, which is why I have time both to do my own vehicle and to make this video. So I hope that helps. If you have questions, please leave them in the comment section. I'm going to do a last little clip so you can see where I've been and what it's brought it to. Stay tuned for more. Have a great new year. Peace. All right, so here we go. This is what we just did. We did, I believe, this edge right here, this edge over here, which isn't showing up as good because of the light, that edge, and then I didn't do this section yet. That's going to be last. I got to move my ladder, but you can kind of see it's a little bit funky. I know my lighting in here is not the greatest, so I apologize. Spur of the moment video. But you can see it's relatively clear through these flat surfaces. There's a little bit of stuff maybe over here still next to that edge. It's not the best. Again, this is step one of this process. The final will be a ceramic after I get this all cleared up and dealt with to my satisfaction. Anyway, Happy New Year. Appreciate you stopping by to check out the video. Let me know if you have any questions about basic intro to buffing or if you're interested in learning more. Peace.